Hennig, Mr. Perfect. You know, everything in my life has been absolutely perfect. And it's a lot of people's dream to be perfect. But with me, see, it's no dream. It's reality. It's life. And take the simple game of bowling. It's everybody's dream to bowl the perfect game. Well, being Mr. Perfect, you sit back on the couch, you put your feet up, and you relax because you are going to witness the perfect.
Hey, Curt Hennig fans, hello, and welcome to another episode of Nobody Beats Curt Hennig. Nobody. I am your host, Mrs. Witchy Perfect. I didn't know if I was going to be recording today. This is as of October 3rd, October already. And here we are in October of 2025. Of course, you guys will see this on the 23rd of October. So you will be well averse into the, wonderful world of, of this. So I found another match. It is the Hart Foundation, or I believe it's Bret Hart. I wasn't sure. I wasn't exactly sure. But in other news, I just wanted to say, I have had a lot of reflection, and, I see a lot of things on Twitter. And I wanted to say, I totally forgot. I can't believe I forgot this, but I'm so sorry. I know it's a little belated, but happy birthday, Joe. I can believe, actually my cousin's birthday is today. So she was born in 87. And, October birthdays, my son is an October birthday. So he is a Scorpio, and I have a tiger by the tails there. So I just want to say happy birthday, Joe Hennig. I'm so sorry this is late. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I have been so busy, with this podcast and that podcast. I have literally been running around here like a chicken with my head cut off. And I was supposed to take my son to the fair, but I am not feeling well, but I feel well enough to do a show. So here I am. But I want to say to the people who, give me more and more Curt Hennig or Mr. Perfect content, please keep it up. I do adore seeing pictures of Curt that I've never seen before. The one, it looks like he's in high school. It looks like it's from a magazine. It's a black and white photo. And I honestly, it looks like he's trying to go into a classroom. Like, he's like, I gotta go to class, Of course, this looks like 85-ish, though I think the person thought it was 88. I don't think it was that late. I'd be surprised because, he already had, by 88, he already had longer hair. And this is kind of like he had shorter hair at the time. So it looks like 85, to be honest, 85, 86. So around the time I was born, not born yet. I didn't come till 86. Keep the pictures coming, guys. I love them. I love them very much. Please keep doing what you're doing, and I will add pictures of Bret. I know I have a lot of Bret Hart fans out there, also Rick Rude fans as well, and we will do another tribute to Rick Rude because, like I said, somehow he's doing better. Even isn't dedicated to him. Also, I saw something from, I guess I should show that. Maybe I should pull that up and let everyone see it. I was kind of shocked when I saw it. Rick Rude Jr. So Rick's son talks about his beef with the Ultimate Warrior. Now, I knew there was beef because of Bret. I was reading Bret's book. And so I knew that there was a beef between him and Warrior. I just, strangely enough, I don't know. I guess I expected something different to come out of that. I know he told Warrior that if the Ultimate Warrior clotheslined him, he would break his arm off and beat him with it. That was Rick Rude. I didn't know they really had a real fight. And that Vince, let me pull this up. I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and I'll let Rick Rude Jr. tell you. All right. See you on the flip side. All right, guys, and we're back. All right. So this is the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude, SummerSlam 1989. So I'm going to let Rick Rude Jr. tell about this. little feud his father and the Ultimate Warrior had. Now I'm going to have to put this up. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear. If you ever heard the story of Don't Mess with Rick Rude, I think it's even more, more of a thing now not to mess with Rick Rude. I would not mess with Rick Rude. Okay. So that did have music in it. I will have to take that out. For those on YouTube, if you guys want to see that interview with Rick Rude Jr., you will have to see it on Rumble. Unfortunately, like I said, I just don't want any copyright, so I will have to take that out. But holy moly. Excuse me. Boy, if that's one guy I would not mess with. I would not mess with Rick Rude at all. Because I like to draw breath. But I am a woman, so I've been told that he was a big flirt with all the women. So at least I'd have that going for me, right? But yeah, wow. I mean, I can't imagine being like, who does that stuff? Everyone was who liked Jim Hellwig. You have to tell me why. Why did you like Jim Hellwig? He literally couldn't wrestle. He couldn't. He looked good. That doesn't make one a wrestler. If you look good, it doesn't make you a wrestler. Okay, it does not make one a wrestler. So you have to tell me why you like Jim Hellwig. I know when they had the Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior come out, Jim Hellwig went on his podcast or whatever and started, Hogan this and Hogan that. Jim, there were a lot more people in that documentary than just Hogan saying what he was saying. Now, I understand I don't like Hogan either, but I mean, I didn't like Jim Hellwig, and I sure as heck didn't like Hogan. I didn't like Jim Hellwig after that whole thing anyway. Because he just came off as like, he was just taking all his frustrations out on Hogan. And again, there was Vince, there was other people in that documentary that were literally putting the Ultimate Warrior down. Vince was saying, "Oh, I couldn't wait to fire the Ultimate Warrior. As a kid, no one could understand him." Yeah, that's true. No one could understand what the heck the Warrior was saying. So I'm not quite sure exactly where Jim was coming from on this little rant he had back on his podcast when he was still with us in the flesh. I guess I also don't understand where exactly, he was coming with when it came. Who would talk smack about anyone? First of all, you talk smack on Rick Rude, and that's, I'm sorry, I don't see where you could talk smack on Rick Rude. I don't know why and where you would do that. Like, do you have a wish to be deleted by Rick Rude? I mean, if I was a guy, I sure as heck would not go up against Rick Rude. I am not a man. I am a woman, legit. But I don't understand, like, where exactly, if I was a gentleman, why I would talk smack against Curt or Rick. Because you didn't want to go up against these guys for real, guys. You didn't want to get them in a real fight. That was kind of like self-deletion. That was a self-deletion mission. So I don't really understand where exactly they got the cojones to do that, because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even do that, and I'm a chick. I wouldn't. I would. Yes, Mr. Rude. No, Mr. Rude. No, Mr. Hennig. Yes, Mr. Hennig. Though Curt was my hero, I think he would be a little nicer. But I think Rick would be very nice to me as well. But I mean, it would be yes, Mr. Rude, no, Mr. Rude, until we got to know each other, and then okay, hi, Rick, how are you? And that's it. There'll be nothing in the middle there, no gray areas, and no, hey, let's pick a fight with Rick Rude and see if I win. Hello. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, right? So that was an interesting thing I just happened to see this morning. Don't know why it came up in my feed on YouTube, but it did. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. You gotta be, literally, you have to be out of your mind crazy to start something with Rick Rude. That's just my opinion. I don't know if any of you jock guys out there are like, yeah, I could take Rick Rude. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure you could. Uh-huh. and I'm the Easter bunny, Hippity hop. I don't see that mindset of where you would start that stuff. So I don't get where Jim was coming from on that one. I think Jim was completely crazy. But I've heard stories where, he would just be laying on the floor and they would just step over him. Like he would be so blown up that he would pass out. Because he couldn't wrestle. I mean, but he'd be out there for what, 10 minutes and he'd come back, 10, 15 minutes. He'd come back and literally collapse on the floor and everyone would just walk over him. Like, so I don't get the mentality of why people maybe if you were a kid and you like the Ultimate Warrior, I tend to like the heels better. I liked, well, of course I love Mr. Perfect. When Hogan actually went into the NWO, I liked Hogan. I liked Nash and Hall. I wasn't much for Razor Ramon or Diesel until they got to the WCW, and then it was the NWO, of course. So I wasn't really much for them either, even though they were heels and then they were baby faces. I know Scott Hall became a baby face at one point. And for all you Scott Hall fans and for all you Bret Hart fans, I do have some stuff on my Twitter dedicated to them, as they were a big part of Curt's life as well. And I really didn't like Kevin Nash to begin with. I mean, he was cool in the NWO, but it wasn't much for Kevin Nash. Sorry, not sorry. I didn't like Kevin Nash. I saw some of his podcasts and he is a bleeding heart liberal, I would say, like on the cusp of that. Some of what he says does make sense. And then some of it, I'm like, no. Nope. No, that's brainwashing on the left. So, but you can draw your own conclusions. And again, we don't all have to agree with every wrestler that we have. We don't have to agree with anyone's opinions. We can have our own opinions. So each to your own. If you like Kevin Nash and you love his opinions, that's good. I'm glad. It makes you an individual onto yourself. I just don't agree with some of the things he says. I don't agree with some of the things Jim Cornette says. And, Jim Cornette is more of a bleeding heart liberal than Kevin Nash is. Though, there's a lot of things I disagree with on Jim Cornette. But the wrestling side of it, I do agree. And like I said, I love the stories that, they talk about. In fact, maybe next week I will share the one story I heard. Or maybe I already shared it, but I could share it again. It is about Rick Rude. He tries to make Brian Last guess whose hairy behind is in a picture of, Jim Cornette doing that. And it was Rick Rude. So we will check that out. Actually, I wanted to, I heard something on the Jim Cornette show. Someone had asked a question, kind of like me, had asked a similar question to Jim Cornette. I'm going to pull that up. Give me 5 minutes. I'll take a 5-minute break and I'll pull that up for you. Catch you on the flip side. All right, we're back. So this is just a question someone had asked, why Mr. Perfect was never pushed onto being the heavyweight champion. And this is Jim Cornette's answer. Now, I may start and stop this and agree and disagree with some of this stuff, but here we go.
This question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Christopher D'Onofrio. Jim, during his WWF run, Mr. Perfect was one of the most gifted workers in the company.
Hear, hear.
But he always seems stuck in the upper mid-card instead of breaking through as a top champion.
True.
From your perspective as a booker and a manager, why do you think Vince McMahon never pulled the trigger on pushing Curt Hennig to that next level? And do you think realistically he could have carried the WWF title in that era?
Yes.
Last question first. Curt was, as they said, probably the best worker in the ring. His was, flawless, and he had a style all his own, and he was so effortless and natural. But
because he had been in the business for so many years. And not only that, he was second generation. I think you could also pertain this to Bret. I'm not saying that Curt was an enigma onto himself. He was. Every interview I've seen about Curt Hennig was, oh, it was like having a night off. So you were working with a great worker. You were working with someone who knew what he was doing, and it was like a night off. Okay. So it's not like Curt didn't know what he was doing. He grew up in the business. He went with his dad everywhere. When his dad, excuse me, would go to the different territories of the day, because that's what you did in those days. You would go to the different territories. Then when Curt came into the WWF, I think there was a reason why he was pushed to Hogan, with Hogan. Unfortunately, or fortunately for Hogan, he had the audacity to say that Curt wasn't in his league. And so he axed the push, which is not true. Hogan didn't know how to wrestle, and Curt did. I'm sure he had great matches with Curt. It's just a shame that Hogan had to get jealous of Curt and think that Curt was going to steal his spotlight. If you would like to check out me and Angel talking about our picks for 89 and Mr. Perfect getting the belt, and then even in 89, and then passing it back and forth between not only Rick Rude but also Bret Hart too. So I think that, yes, could Curt have carried the company then? Yes. They could even pass it to Macho Man. Macho already had the belt. So by the time, Hogan was off doing a movie, and he was off doing premieres and stuff. So in 88, instead of having that whole Hogan run at WrestleMania 5, you could have had it where Savage drops it to Curt, and Curt keeps it till SummerSlam. He retains at SummerSlam, and maybe goes babyface against Rick Rude, where Rick Rude would be the heel. And then I could see, instead of you could still have WrestleMania 6. Okay, you could still have Warrior versus Hogan for a number one contenders match, but I wouldn't do the whole, because Warrior was the Intercontinental Champion, and this would raise Rick Rude before he was rose before, but then he never got the belt. So you could ask the same question of Rick Rude. Why did Rick Rude get a championship match with the Ultimate Warrior only to lose and put Warrior over? Some say, well, that's because Rick was leaving. Okay, but he had the Intercontinental belt. Why wasn't he elevated to, other than that one championship belt or one championship match that I remember, which was also a steel cage match, and they could have been having house matches where they were having belt, matches with the belt. But I don't remember Rick Rude ever being champion, not in WWF. And it was WWF at the time. So I'm not really sure I get where exactly they're getting this from. Hogan was off making movies. You could have literally put Curt and Bret and everyone was making fun because, they were promising Bret a push, and he never got that till 92. Well, you could have pushed him earlier and pushed him up there with Curt, because Curt was right up there with Rick Rude and Bret anyway. So, I think that Curt could have held his own along with Rick Rude, along with Bret. And you could have made Bret the champion too. Like I said, at Survivor Series, you could have Bret versus Curt. And I think I have the... I'm not sure if I have Bret winning there or not. I can't remember exactly where I would book it, but how I would book it is, at least give SummerSlam to Curt, and he's still the champion. Give him at least one good title reign, or title defense, I should say. Give him one good title defense, okay? And then you go on to, Survivor Series, and you have, maybe Bret versus Rick Rude or whatever, to have a number one contender thing. And then you make it Rick gets the belt till whatever, WrestleMania or whatever. Actually, I think, I think I would do that. At least give Curt one good title defense with the heavyweight belt. And then you like Rick Rude and him at Survivor Series because now you have to remember that they didn't have a pay-per-view every month back in my day, back in 89. So 88 and 89, they just made SummerSlam and they had just made Royal Rumble because a lot of that stuff started in 87 and 88. So I think Royal Rumble started in 88 and like SummerSlam had just started in 87. So remember, guys, there wasn't just the extravagant, every month there was a pay-per-view. No, it was like every couple of months. And then they started adding some, like Royal Rumble or SummerSlam. And, WrestleMania was, of course, 87. I think WrestleMania 1 was 85. Can someone correct me on that? I think WrestleMania 3 was 87. So like 86, they had some kind of like WrestleMania 2 or something. But in 87, they had WrestleMania 3, which was Andre versus Hogan. Okay, that's fine. You can have that. So then when you get into 88, you have Savage and Hogan, the belt, and Savage gets it. And, I think you go from there. So let's hear some more, but that's just my take on it. If I were booking in 89, I would have Curt win the belt from Savage at WrestleMania 5 and elevate him. So then you give him that one title defense. You turn Rick Rude heel or keep him heel and you turn Curt babyface and see how that goes. Even though I know Curt loved to be heel, but I think that everyone thought Mr. Perfect was cool. Like I want to have a beer with that guy. Of course you did, because he was perfect. He could do everything. So I think once, you give him that one good title defense, and then at Survivor Series, you can either give it to Rick Rude or Bret Hart. I probably would give it to Rick Rude and keep Curt babyface for a while. And then, go into Royal Rumble and have, Rick Rude defend against either Curt or Bret Hart. And then you can go into WrestleMania 6. And like I said, you could still have that Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan match, except that would be for a number one contender. And then you give Curt the belt back, and then by like SummerSlam, Curt has the belt, and you turn him heel again, because then you give it to the Ultimate Warrior or whatever. Because he got that match from the number one contenders match at WrestleMania 6. So instead of making him the Intercontinental Champion, and they could have done that as soon as he came in, he could have gotten the belt, just like they did with Kerry Von Erich, because Kerry Von Erich came in, and of course at SummerSlam 1990, which is where I saw Curt for the first time, they gave Kerry the belt, and he had just come in. So why couldn't they do that for Curt? Curt was second generation just as much as Kerry was, and they could have built him around, the heel that he was. But then you would switch him babyface when he went for the heavyweight belt between him and Rick Rude, because I think if him and Rick Rude had a feud, I think that would have been one of the hottest, if not the hottest that he had. I think one of the hottest feuds he ever had was with Bret Hart. And that's cool. I think that him and Bret really worked hard through 89 when they had their feud. And then they worked into 1991 when it was, Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart at SummerSlam. Okay, so you work up to that. But I mean, I think one of the hottest feuds could have been Curt and Rick Rude. And, two best friends, they could make it work. I mean, because they could work together because they were already best friends, right? So and of course, Bret is in that mix because Bret was a friend and everything like that. So I think that they missed a great opportunity here to raise a bunch of guys who could have been raised. And it would have they would have put asses in seats. And don't tell me that, well, Hogan was off doing a movie. Hogan was off doing a movie. That doesn't mean they weren't selling and they weren't doing good, business. I just think that if they brought Curt Hennig and Rick Rude and Bret Hart into the mix, I think there would have been a hotter season and I think they would have been selling tickets, hand over fist, and they would have been making money. And then when you get Hogan back into the mix when he's done, making his No Holds Barred movie and done with all the premieres and stuff. So you give him the belt back at WrestleMania 7. Nothing wrong with that. I could see, instead of Slaughter coming back into it, I could literally see, Curt being that heel, because he was an American. He, not that he would be an Iraqi sympathizer, but I think that he could have been that big heel that everyone was looking for. And of course, you always had Rick Rude there too, to, be that ultimate heel. And for everything that Bret is, I think Bret would have been a great heel back then. I mean, he was a great heel back then. He was a good baby face, but I think he was a better heel. In my opinion, I think Bret was a better heel. So, and the opposite for Curt. I think Curt would have made a really great babyface, especially because the fans thought he was so cool. Oh, I want to have a beer with that guy. Yeah, of course. Of course. All right, here we go. More.
Don't know. Because think of how few champions Vince had from the time the Hogan era started until the time that the Attitude Era, they were winning it on Monday and losing it on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Just constantly switching belts. I don't know that Curt had the Randy Savage look or the Hulk Hogan look or the Ultimate Warrior look that Vince wanted.
But forget what Vince wants. Okay, this is a different timeline that we're talking about. This is a different story we're talking about. We're talking about, would Curt Hennig be a benefit to the fact that Hogan was off doing movies, Savage was barely hanging on. I think people, they liked Savage and then they didn't like Savage. You know what I mean? So yeah, he may have not have had the physique, but I think Curt brought the athletic side of it. Because if you listen to Curt, and he does a wonderful interview where he talks about, you're all jacked up and there's only one way to go down, or that's down with the body. Because once you have, you've gone to your peak, that's it. That's done. You're done. Your body breaks down and that's it. Look what happened with the Ultimate Warrior. Look what happened, with a lot of other jacked up guys. Not that Randy Savage had a good look. He was second generation also, but then look at Lanny. Look at what happened with Lanny. Now Lanny barely got, Lanny brought a specific look to wrestling, just like Curt did. But Lanny was never on that championship level, unless it was like a joke. They were making fun of, him and the fact that of his sexuality or whatever. They were kind of poking fun of that, because in the 80s, that's what they did. They poked fun of people's sexuality, even though Lanny was perfectly straight. He married a woman, right? So all I'm saying is, just because they're second generation doesn't mean they're going to go that far. But Savage did, Bret did. Why couldn't Curt do it? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, when it comes to booking, and when Curt first comes in, maybe gets the belt after a couple of months, and then heck, bring him in 89 and he loses to, instead of Hogan and Savage, Savage loses the belt to Curt. So I don't agree with him here, because I think that Curt and Bret and Rude could have put butts in seats along with Savage, along with everyone else. I just don't think Vince, and like I said, forget what Vince wants. Vince wanted the jacked up guys, but then we all know the Ultimate Warrior couldn't go. When it came time, Warrior was passed out in the back. So all I'm saying is, and Hogan, he couldn't wrestle. He was a cartoon of himself. So all I'm saying is, forget what Vince wanted for a second, because now, or as it would soon change in modern wrestling, the small guys are now somehow stars. They're not as big, but yet they're over in WWF or WWE. AEW is just a bunch of garbage. So there's none of those guys over, but they're pushing the smaller guys, the athletic guys. Of course, there's a lot of small guys that I wouldn't put into wrestling, even if you begged me to. And that's more on the AEW side. So again, just because Curt wasn't as jacked up as most of those guys, it doesn't matter. He made wrestling look great. So I don't agree that, like I said, forget what Vince wants. Let's talk strategy and let's talk real wrestling here, because Curt could wrestle. There's no doubt about that. No one ever said that Curt Hennig could not wrestle. No one has, not in any interview I have seen, has anyone said that Curt Hennig could not wrestle. So keep that in mind as we hear the rest of this.
I think that Curt would have probably, had the NWA progressed in the
He wasn't in
half of the
NWA.
80s as it was in the last half of the 70s and the first part of the 80s. Curt would have been a fine NWA champion. I don't see him as a WWF champion because of what Vince was doing at that period of time.
But forget what Vince wants to do. Forget it.
Who he was featuring, how few people he was featuring, and that most of them had to be a dominant babyface. Curt
could have been a dominant babyface.
As an AWA champion, Curt was the only good thing about the last few years of that company. But it was a different philosophy about who to put the belt on.
Well, and I've heard rumors, or at least I've heard some of if you watch a documentary about the AWA, I think a lot of those things were that Curt, the only reason why Curt was champ, not only did he deserve it, he did deserve it. He should have been champ in 86. Instead of that, I mean, no offense to Scott Hall. He was tag champs with Scott Hall in 86. But I definitely think that in 86, like after that whole Scott Hall thing was done, they should have given the belt right to him. And it's like, oh, well, we had to wait till May of 87 till Curt could actually become the AWA champion. I would have made him champion a lot sooner. Because remember, everyone, if people don't know this, you don't know the history, this is why we're going back through it. Curt was in Portland and stayed in Portland from 82 to 84. He was in the WWF, but that was only I think more of like a rookie thing for him, because he was, kind of getting his bearings underneath him. And I'm sure he was trying to follow in his father's footsteps and kind of have exposure to all of the territories. And he's been to he was in Memphis. He was in the AWA, I'm sure, or the NWA. I know he was in the AWA because he was a referee in one of the matches. We showed that on the show. So again, he started in Portland in 82 and left in 84, and then he went to AWA till 88, which is fine. But remember that he had already had a few years of wrestling under his belt. He started in 79. That's when they say he debuted. I don't know where, probably the WWF. He stayed there till 81. There were matches on, this is why I don't like this, but there are matches on the WWE network, which you could probably get a VPN and go and see them if you want to. It's very, very early WWF with Vince Sr. So he had a couple of what I would call rookie matches in the WWF. Like I saw him against Jesse Ventura, just one-on-one. Now, Jesse, in my interview with him, talked about in 1980 when Curt was a rookie then too. He and Adrian Adonis, the East and West connection, would beat on Curt, and then here comes Dad, Larry the Axe Hennig. So don't diminish the fact that Curt has had a lot of years in the business and that he should have been champ, because he was the person building that. It was one of the greatest years, 87, 88. And then when Curt left in 88 for WWF, that's when AWA started to, crumble inside. But a lot of people say, well, it's when Hogan left. No, AWA under Rick Martel, I think he was champion for a while. Not Stan Hansen, but there was a lot of other good. Nick Bockwinkel is a big reason. And of course, Curt later are a big reason why the AWA stayed in business as long as they did. Because once Curt left, I mean, it pretty much imploded. So all I'm saying is I don't agree here. And again, forget what Vince wants. Let's pretend that Vince wasn't even booking. Let's say he was doing something else and letting someone else book it. Would that other person have given Curt a chance? And I think they would have to. I think they definitely would have to. He was Portland champion. He was AWA champion. And I'm talking heavyweight champion. There is no reason on the goddess's green earth why Curt Hennig could not have been WWF champ or WCW champ in that case. Though I'm kind of glad he wasn't WCW champion, because when Vince Russo made himself, you might as well have just pissed himself champion. When Vince Russo made himself champion and then David Arquette champion, you might have just as well have pissed in the face of everyone who had the belt beforehand. So I'm talking Hogan, I'm talking Nash, I'm talking Booker T. You literally should have just pissed in those people's faces and said, this belt doesn't mean dick. Pretty much that's what it meant. All right, so we're going to show a little more of this.
It was the guy to have the best match with a variety of people, like a lot of times the NWA was, and who could draw money.
But he wasn't an NWA. Sorry to keep interrupting, but he wasn't NWA. Yeah, he could have been in the NWA, but his home was AWA. So I'm kind of not like seeing where exactly he's taking this, because really the NWA had nothing to do with Curt, because he wasn't really in it for that long. He would visit the NWA, I'm sure, which would later become WCW, or a significant portion of it will become WCW. There is still an NWA today, but it's not even close to what it used to be. But anyway, I mean, they would branch off. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't understand the whole point of Curt, if you forget what Vince wanted at the time, Vince was booking something else or doing something else, and Curt was the champion or whatever. Just forget what Brett's not thinking of me. Just forget what Vince wants. Let's just forget what Vince wants. Vince is not even in the picture. Let's put it that way. Would the booker book Curt Hennig to be WWF champ? And I think he'd have to, especially with Hogan off doing movies. Hogan didn't even, I mean, the only reason why Hogan came back is because, unlike Jesse Ventura, he still had a job. He still had a job. You know, Vince Sr. told Jesse, don't go do Predator. Jesse did it anyway. Don't know. Oh, well, and then because of the NBC thing, they had to come crawling back to Jesse. But, I mean, all I'm saying is let's not diminish the fact that Curt could have been a great WWF champion. And like I said, he could have passed the belt around between Brett and Rick Rude. And I'm not saying that Rick Rude wouldn't have been a great champion. He would have, if given the chance. He had that look. Rude had that look. And he didn't give Rude the belt. So I'm failing to see how having a jacked up body had anything to do with anything. Because again, Rick Rude had that look and they still wouldn't give Rude the belt. So your theory doesn't hold up. Because, I mean, that's why he was in the super pose down with the Ultimate Warrior. He was in that super pose down because he had the body like Ultimate Warrior. So the fact that, you know, oh, well, he didn't have a jacked up body. Curt had an athletic body. And in WCW, I say he did get jacked up. I was like, how much bigger does he want to get? And trust me, Curt was my hero. So, you know, I've never disrespect Curt in any way. If he wants to get bigger, that's his business, not mine. I just think that was kind of like a fuck you to Vince, you know. I have a jacked up body now and I'm not in the WWF. But getting back to what I was saying, let's not look to get, this is like a different reality. Let's pretend this is a different reality and Vince isn't even booking. Okay. Yeah, we get it. Vince liked the jacked up guys. Who cares? They couldn't wrestle. Hogan couldn't wrestle. Warrior couldn't wrestle. These guys could not wrestle. They just look good. But when it comes right down to it, you wanted someone like Curt to actually go out there for, I mean, Curt was doing 60-minute matches with Nick Bockwinkel, for crying out loud. In Portland, he was doing 2 out of 3 matches anyway. And those can take almost forever. But they always did that. They always did those kind of matches in Portland, 2 out of 3 falls. So he could go for long periods of time. And even if these jacked up guys couldn't do the time that Curt could do, you would still have great matches between him and Bret, him and Rick Rude, and they could have Iron Man matches like you've never even seen. Imagine if we could had, instead of SummerSlam 1991, if we could actually have a healthy Curt Hennig, who was WWF champ, and Bret Hart. We could have a 60-minute Iron match between Curt Hennig and Bret Hart. Who the crap would not want to see that? I want to see that. I would remortgage my house if I had to see Curt Hennig versus Bret Hart in a 60-minute Iron match, because I know those two could do it. And like I said, Rick Rude too. You could put Rick Rude into that mix. So I don't agree wholeheartedly that and like I said, forget what Vince wants. This is what's good for his company, because in 93, 94, 95, and 96, he wasn't doing good business. Vince was not doing good business because of you could say the steroid trial, but also WCW was bringing in like Nitro, and they were bringing in Eric Bischoff. They were bringing in other talent. They had Steve Austin. They had Rick Rude. They had other people who were literally doing better business than the WWF. So I don't agree that Curt couldn't put butts in seats, especially if you had this match between him. I mean, there's people who still talk about the Curt Hennig Bret Hart matches. Of course, I side with Curt because Curt is my hero, right? But aside from that, 60, I don't know how you guys feel about 60-minute matches. The ones with him and Nick Bockwinkel, one ended in like literally, Curt getting juice. So I don't think Nick had any juice that night. I think it was just Curt. But it left you on the edge of your seat like, oh, come on, somebody win. They could do that. Or, Rick and Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude, they had a great 30-minute Iron match in WCW. That's what I'm talking about. Have those kind of matches in WWF, and WCW wouldn't have been a thing. There would have been no such talk of WCW beating WWF in the ratings, especially in 94, 95. But I don't know what they were doing. They were still in this cartoon-ish kind of, I don't know what they were doing at the time. So that's all I'm saying is just don't look at this like, oh, well, Vince didn't want this and Vince didn't want that. All right. So a little more.
And who could, take the schedule. But with Vince, it was a whole different thing. And Curt
could have
was
taken
not,
the schedule. He did.
I don't want to say Randy Savage was a cartoon character, but
he kind of was.
He looked like some kind of goddamn celebrity. Curt was a celebrity. Just a great pro wrestler. You see what I'm saying?
No.
Am I rambling here?
No.
Yes.
And I think, he did get a good push in 1990. They gave him a run with Hogan. He wasn't the guy to take the belt
89.
off Hogan, but he got to
89.
work with Hogan. That still says a lot about what Vince McMahon thought of him. He got the Intercontinental title and Bobby Heenan after that. You only do that to someone in 1990 that you had plans for.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that everybody respected from Vince, all the boys in the ring. Everybody respected how good Curt was. I think it just, it's almost unfair to say, well, why didn't he make him champion? He didn't make almost anybody else champion either.
But in 92, he makes Bret champion.
Yeah, he made Bret champion.
And in 91, Bret beat Curt or Mr. Perfect at the time for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. And that's the last time he wrestled for.
Because he was hurt.
Almost a year and a half.
Because he
became Ric Flair's Bobby Davis because Bobby Heenan didn't want to go on the road. or take the
And
bumps.
by the way, that was one of Bobby Eaton's favorite matches. When I went over to his house one day in Charlotte, he had that SummerSlam match with Brett and Hennig on. Watch this; these guys are great, and they were. It was.
But even though he was around,
All right, so we're gonna stop there because we're already past our time, and I'm not gonna get to show. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not going to get to show this. It was the Bulldogs versus the Heart Foundation. I will show that next week because I know that we got a little off kilter here. And we need to get to the main event match. But like I said, guys, I think all things aside, forget what Vince wanted. What is best for the business and what would have been a great match, a set of matches is literally Curt Hennig and Bret Hart. And like I said, you could have those Iron Man matches. He could have Iron Man matches with, even if you had a half hour instead of an hour. I know Curt could go an hour. I saw him do it with Nick Bockwinkel in AWA. Not back then, but because, back then, I was only a baby. In like 86, 87, and then by 88, he was pretty much gone. But simply put, even if you had a half-hour match with each guy, okay? If you had a half-hour match, Iron Man match, like Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude had in WCW, if you could take that and switch it and make it Rick Rude and Curt Hennig or Bret Hart and Curt Hennig, if you could switch that and make that with those guys, they could have lit up the whole. I mean, people would be buying tickets to see this hand over fist. And it doesn't matter who you make a heel and who you make a babyface. People would still want to see this because, again, people praised Curt Hennig for the matches he had in '89 with Bret Hart. And then, of course, at SummerSlam. And it was everyone's favorite match, except unless you were Curt Hennig's fan and you're going, ooh. Because if you knew his back was bothering him the whole time, you're like, oh, Curt, don't do that. And I know Curt is a consummate professional. He did what he did for the fans and for Bret. I give him kudos for that. It's really hard match to watch when you're going, oh, God, no, Bret. Don't do that. So anyway, that I wanted to share that because I kind of, talk in my car. And I don't agree with a lot of that because, again, you got to take Vince's stuff out of it. Forget what Vince wanted. What's good for the business is different than what Vince wanted. And by then, by 91, because, they were selling tickets because of the war, but that's it. If there was no war, would they be doing the same kind of business in 91 that they were doing in 85, 86? I don't think so. If you didn't have like the greatest heel or one of the greatest heels, which is Sergeant Slaughter, but he was turned Iraqi sympathizer. If you weren't doing any of that stuff, would the WWF have been as popular? Probably not. So they had to kind of exploit a war to gain sympathy to sell tickets. That's not how it should be, though that's how Vince wanted it. And then there's all kinds of weird things happening anyway. The Warrior, he broke Savage's arm and Savage paid him back by hitting him in the head with a scepter. Because they were still doing that whole Macho King thing. So all I'm saying is don't look at Gift Horse in the mouth. It could have been so, instead of like, oh, well, we had Slaughter versus Hogan, did you see that Iron Man match between Curt Hennig and Rick Rude or Curt Hennig and Bret Hart? Oh my gosh, wasn't it so awesome? It was so freaking cool. You remember this and remember that move and blah, blah, blah. I think we missed out. I really think we missed out. We could have had so many really awesome matches between not only Curt and Rude, but Curt and Bret. Forget the 89 matches. This could have made them a whole new, rivalry or feud. This could have literally put both Curt and Brett to the top, and Rick. And now we're sitting here saying, what if? What could have been? Instead of the stupid Ultimate Warrior, which, again, the dude couldn't wrestle. All right, I'm going to stop talking now, take a 5-minute break, and I'll be right back with you. We are going to watch the Iranian death match. We're going to revisit it. So, so give me a 5-minute break, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Okay, and we're back. So here we go. We're going to just go ahead and get started because we're already behind. So this is going to be a little bit of an interview. If you would like to watch along, I'm not going to read this, but you can see this at the top here. I'm just going to mouse over it. This is what you will look for on YouTube. And the next one, I think, is just the Iranian death match. Excuse me. So we are going to revisit this, and I'm going to press play now. For those on YouTube, again, just look this. I know you can't see it, but I can't really read it or can't get monetized. So just look for Sheik Hassan Ali, Curt Hennig. Okay. And you'll be able to, if you want to look up the Iranian death match, that should be pretty explanatory. All right. Press play now.
Man, you never been involved in a match like that. That's great. It was not the match that I wanted to wrestle, but he was put out here by Buddy Rose or by the clan, whoever sent him out here. What I want now is a shot at the Pacific Northwest title with a Sheik.
Rightfully so. Very well deserved.
Fans agree you should get that title shot, too. He said I had to go through somebody to deserve him. Who did I prove to? Who did I beat? Listen, brother, I'm not bragging on it, but Buddy Rose was sent in the hospital. I hear he's coming back now. He's one of the greatest wrestlers ever wrestled here in the Pacific Northwest. But, brother, I put him in the hospital, Sheik. I just took the whipping of my life, too, brother. And let me tell you something, Sheik. You put that title on the line, and you're going to have a new Pacific Northwest. You got something you want to say to me? Cut the hatchet, Hennig.
Hatchet?
You want a shot at my belt? The guys and the people here, I'm sure, want to see me have a shot at that belt. He thinks that he deserves a shot because his name is Hennig. Your name's not Axe, it's Hatchet. You don't deserve no shot at my belt. So you prove something to me, boy. I just got done proving it. You want this belt? You want this belt? Yes, I want this belt. He wants this belt. I'll tell you what I'll do. Half a man, Hatchet. You want a shot at my belt, boy? Yeah, bleed like a dog. One way. Next week, an Iranian death match right here. And if this half a man can beat me in an Iranian death match, and I'll let both my wrists be tied to the turnbuckle, if he can beat me, he'll have his shot. Curt, can you get up, Curt? The chief just said if you can beat him in an Iranian death match, you've been in one of those before, he'll give you a title shot next week. I want a title shot with that Sheik anywhere I can get one. And I want it next week here. Iranian death match, I don't care what he wants. He's going down next week, I guarantee it.
Here we are, ready for
All right, so here we go into the Iranian death match. There are 3 parts to this, so
some kind of event. An Iranian death match. Curt Hennig and the Sheik. And there's Curt. Curt Hennig in the ring right now. Oh, he's pumped. He's ready.
He's not only ready for tonight, he's ready for anything that comes his way. His dad was on a house back in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I think they drew the biggest house in the history of the business thus far. It was over $300,000.
Whoa. Whoa, mercy. Now, I know Playboy came close at Madison Square Garden to that figure.
He had a couple $160,000, $170,000, $200,000 houses. Look who's up there second in Curt Hennig. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an Iranian death match. Anything goes. There's 2 seconds out there. Billy Jack will be seconding Curt Hennig, and the Assassin will be seconding Sheik Abdullah Ali Hussein, and your ring announcer, Don Owens, is going to be telling you about it here in about 4 or 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
I'd like to say something to you, Mr. Pencil Neck Promoter.
The Sheik's going to
What do you
interrupt.
think you're doing letting kids in here free next Saturday? I happen to be a prince. I'm a Sheik. No one has the right to look upon my body for free. Not even you Pencil Neck Promoter. You let kids in free. What's the matter with you?
I am a promoter, so I'll do what I want. Ladies and gentlemen, the next event will be the best 2 out of 3 falls or 2 duration. It'll be a Iranian death match. Introducing in this corner, Sheik Hassan. His opponent in this corner that has almost eliminated Playboy Buddy Rose and did eliminate the masked convict, 240 pounds from Minnesota, Curt Hennig.
That kid, I swear.
First free line and the crippler stretcher tonight down on the Pencil Neck Promoter. Let kids in free next week. What's the matter with you?
I just think it's funny that he has oil on his butt.
Who cares?
Hassan has oil on his butt, and he's whiter than I am.
Speedway tomorrow. Sandy Bar got a big event going on at Rose City Speedway tomorrow. I didn't know about that. We'll have to tell people later on about that. Anyway, Curt Hennig. I'd like to be that good looking that young.
Yeah, it sure is nice.
He's about to become very wealthy. His career is extended the way it's going now. And if he keeps himself in good condition, he's going to be a very wealthy young individual in the next 4 or 5 years. Sky's the limit for him. Now, the secret of this match, ladies and gentlemen, you see the 2 seconds in the center of the ring, Billy Jack and the Assassin. They both have ropes. These ropes are 3.5 feet long, 4 foot long. And one of the seconds, Billy Jack will tie the Sheik to his turnbuckle over here, to the steel part of the turnbuckle. And the Assassin will tie one of Curt Hennig's wrists to the turnbuckle in the far corner where Curt is standing. Okay? Now, both men fight. They're flipping the coin now to see who has the choice of who gets to tie up who first. Curt gets his choice. He wants the Sheik tied up. Billy Jack will tie up the Sheik. Now, the object of this match is extremely simple. You try to break your bound. Not B-O-N-D. What is it? Your rope, isn't it? Yeah.
That's a good one.
You try to break the rope.
Right.
And you try to get across the ring to your opponent before he gets across the ring to you, and you can do severe bodily injury to him. There's no disqualification. Anything goes. You can hit the guy with your partner if you get a chance. And it's a vicious, bloody bout.
Has the Sheik ever lost one of these?
He, on a couple of technicalities, he has not actually lost them physically, but due to a technicality, the decision was given in somebody else's favor. But he's never out and out lost one.
Yeah. Now Billy Jack now is going to tie the Sheik to the turnbuckle. Now,
hey, the Sheik is letting him tie both paws over there. He's letting him tie both hands.
Yeah, but as I don't know, as mysterious as this guy is. Now you've seen some of these Iranian death matches.
I saw this guy get out of a lock.
Look at that.
Look at this. I want to see him get. Look at this. Look at the pressure Billy Jack is applying to that rope. You'll notice that the Sheik doesn't feel any pain. That's why he's trying to climb the bar.
Right. Look at him.
Oh, I'd hate to be in his shoes right now. That's agony. It's got to be.
That has to be a.
Look at Billy. Billy's face is red. He's applying so much pressure on it. Oh, that Sheik's got terrible pain.
Billy's having a good time up there.
What time did he say?
13.
13 minutes remaining. 13 minutes remaining.
Billy Jack has really strapped that Sheik. He's just cinched that rope down there on both hands of the Sheik. I don't think the Sheik's going to be pulling any of his little illusion numbers to get out of this thing, Dutch.
I got news for you. After watching the Sheik now for a year, I wouldn't trust that man as far as I could pay an airline ticket for him and knew he got on the plane. If I was to send him from here to Europe, I wouldn't trust him. He'd get back somewhere or other. He'd be standing there in the terminal facing me. Man's unbelievable what he can do. He's an illusionist.
The Assassin's now putting the pressure on Curt Hennig.
Yeah, he's bearing down pretty good, too.
And that Assassin weighs 250 pounds, folks, and he's nobody's slouch. I'd stay glued to the set, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to go right through, very close to the TV time limit, if not through. This is going to be a very vicious match.
Oh, the Assassin just slapped Hennig. Now,
all right, the bell's already rung. We're on the way. Take it away, John Cost.
All right, they're both of them are trying to get out of their respective ropes there. Hennig's working on his. I don't know what the Assassin is doing over there. It's hard to tell. They've got his back to us. But as tightly as Billy Jack tied those ropes on the the Sheik, I don't see how he's ever going to get out of there. Hennig is making some pretty good headway on his rope. He's using his teeth now to try to untie it. He's checking the Sheik, see what he's doing. The Sheik is constantly checking Hennig. I don't know. The Sheik's just kind of standing there. He's standing there just kind of shaking his head. I don't know how in the world he can ever expect to get out of that. In the meantime, Hennig is still working on the ropes tied by the Assassin.
Curt is pretending here.
Well, the Assassin really,
These are gimmick ropes, guys. Gimmick ropes.
What is the Sheik doing? Look at this Sheik.
He's standing up there on the bottom rope.
I've seen this guy pop out of clear glass coffins, out of buildings, small little tiny doghouses full of swords that were supposed to be empty. Seen him get out of manacles, handcuffs.
Oh, look at this. I don't know how he did that. That's unreal.
Now wait, because Curt will do the same thing. They were gimmick ropes.
Got loose too. Look at the Sheik's face.
Caught him by absolute total shock. Total surprise. They both got out at about the same time.
He's beeling him by the beard. The Sheik thought he had him. He pulled one of his famous illusions, and Hennig was already loose.
Oh, he couldn't believe it. Tell you the truth, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the Sheik even got out of what he was tied up in. Hennig really.
They were gimmick ropes, guys. Gimmick ropes.
He's bearing down now. He's going front chin lock. Boy, what a surprise that was to the Sheik. You see the look on Hennig's face, too? He loved it. Looked over here at you, Dutch, and smiled.
I was watching one of the spectators over here. I was just hoping he wasn't going to make a dash for that ring. It'd be the biggest mistake of his life.
Oh, Hennig.
Curt is working on his face. Anything goes in this. Danny tries to keep some semblance of order, but he's not supposed to break for any reason. Anything goes this time.
There's an elbow by the Sheik. Caught Hennig right in the midsection. There's a fist by Hennig. Oh, another one, a right hand. Really turned the Sheik around. There's a boot. The right hand. That turned Hennig around. Into the turnbuckle. Hennig already has a cut on his head, bandaged up. Oh, there's a rake across the face.
A rake him right across the face on that one. I hope it didn't get into Curt's eyes.
Outside.
Through the ropes.
Oh, they let
Curt
it.
got his feet under him. He's lucky he didn't land on his sacrum bone there. He got his feet under him. This business you're taught early. When you go out of that ring, try to get something under your body to break that fall in that concrete. If you don't, you're going to hit and knock the wind out of here. There's a knee by the Sheik. Lifted Curt up about 4 inches off the floor. That hurt right up into the sternum bone. Now the Sheik's.
Ooh, that had to hurt. Come on, Curt.
That was absolutely amazing how both those.
Thank you. 9 minutes.
Got those ropes untied. There goes another whip. And Hennig turns around and, oh, he's got the Sheik. 1, 2, 3, first fall.
Woohoo! Go, Curt, go. Go, Curt, go.
Curt Hennig takes the first fall in our Iranian death match over the Sheik. We'll be back after this word for Marv Talkin.
Going back to the ring.
Getting ready for the second fall of our main event. First fall taken by Curt Hennig over the Sheik. If you turned in late, or you've missed an exciting start of this Iranian death match, Billy Jack tied up the Sheik and he had him wrenched down there, something fierce. Both hands tied to that crossbar over there. And the assassin tied Curt Hennig. And how the Sheik ever got out of that thing he was tied up in, I have no idea. But he got out. It looked like he got out first, came over to Curt Hennig, and Hennig was actually loose and caught the Sheik with the right hand, and we went from there.
There we go. Before referee Sandy Barr can get into the ring, the Sheik jumped right on Hennig, taking advantage of the opportunity. Naked ring, no referee, and he just started putting the boots to him.
Right in that turnbuckle. The ring seemed to move by about 3 or 4 inches. Oh, a drop kick by the Sheik. He's rolling Hennig over, and Hennig kicks out of that thing. That didn't look like a fist. Looked like more like a thumb that caught Hennig. Sheik bearing down on Hennig as he's caught over that top rope. Oh, and he brought the rope back. You can see that rope mark right across Hennig's chest. There's a right hand, another one by Hennig. And he's going outside.
Over the top rope, outside, right at you. Here comes the Sheik, and Hennig's bailing out after him.
He's not going to give him any recovery time. Where'd he go?
There he went. Hit that right shoulder and part of his ear. I don't know whether he caught the side of his head on that one or not. Took a severe blow into that white ring post over there.
Looked like he caught most of his shoulder on that pole.
Sandy's trying to keep some semblance of order in the ring. And Curt's bailing out again. There's no rules in this bout. He can do just about what he wants to the Sheik and get away with it, and vice versa.
He's got the Sheik. But just, we've seen this so many times. Right when you think you've got the Sheik.
Sheik's been cut.
Yeah, he has. His forehead
He's
is
been
bleeding.
cut. I think it's over his right eye.
That was a right
Yeah,
hand.
it's over the right eye.
Yeah.
As long as it's over the eye, way up over it. It's not real severe, but boy, it's sure bleeding.
Oh,
I take it all back. That's a good one.
Hennig is
He
cut.
busted him up. Not too many people get a chance to bust up the Sheik. Look at this reversal by Sheik. There's a...
Oh.
Look at that.
Oh, Hennig landed right flat on that mat.
Hennig's got him bleeding. Thought he had him. There's a neck breaker by the Sheik. Rolls over on top. There's a count. 1, 2, 3. This bout's even.
We're all even. Our main event.
Of course, they had
He's
to do
all
that.
bloodied up, but he took the. But he caught the second match. Our main event, all even, 1 fall apiece. We'll be right back after this timeout. Well, you talk about a couple of guys that are really pumped, really ready to go. These two guys.
There's a drop kick by Hennig. Right smack on a cut over Sheik's right eye.
Yeah, he's got his.
In case you just tuned in, folks, this is... Look out!
Oh.
Curt tried to break off the leg of the Sheik. Didn't manage. He ended up right on his Saturday Night Fever. The Sheik is bleeding rather profusely from a wound he suffered earlier in the bout. The hands of Curt Hennig. Live from the Portland Sports Arena, this is Portland Wrestling. KPTV Channel 12. Possibly one of the finest wrestling television shows in the entire United States of America.
Without question, it is.
Vicious bout. This is the finish of an Iranian death match. This bout is all even at a fall apiece. The man is bleeding. Sheik Abdullah Hussein. He's cut profusely, bleeding profusely of a cut over his right eye. Curt Hennig isn't cut. That blood he has on him is from the Sheik.
Here's the bell ring. You don't get off your chair ready for the interview. Oh.
If this match ends before we go off the air, we're going to come right out of here and right up to the crow's nest with an interview. We're not going to stop for anything. Look at that judo chop by Curt Hennig.
Billy Jack is out here cheering on Hennig.
He's exalting the fans to get up.
Right hand to the forehead.
Cheer on, Curt Hennig. Keep his adrenaline going. Right hand to the jaw to Sheik by Hennig. Here's the Sheik coming at you. Take a good look. Hennig with a right hand to the forearm. Smash. He's trying for a pin. We have a 1, 2. Sheik Hussein pulls out of it. I don't know how he's done it. He's taken a tremendous amount of punishment. There's a low blow.
Low blow by
Perfectly legal, Don. Perfectly legal.
Legal?
Yes, sir. Anything goes in this bout. It's an Iranian death match. You could hit that guy with a ring post and get away with it.
Hennig is really in pain. Now there's another shot.
Sheik seizing the opportunity to try to do away with Hennig, his opponent. Hennig double-crossed him and gave him some of his own medicine.
A mule kick. That was a mule kick by Hennig. And he caught the Sheik where he didn't want to get caught. Now both men are in a lot of pain. Oh, he's
Here's
going
a try for an atomic drop coming at ya. Oh, look at the Sheik. Over the top rope, out onto the floor, almost broke his back. Hennig is completely furious.
You bet he is. A lot of this crowd's on their feet right now. Hennig's going to come outside, try to finish the job.
He's throwing a Sheik back in. He wants a pin. Let's get this over with. There's 1 minute remaining. Time enough. Plenty of time for a pin. Sheik double crosses Hennig. Right hand. Just when you think you've got him hurt, he comes back.
It wasn't exactly a right hand. That's it. His fingers were out.
It doesn't matter, Don. No disqualification. Anything goes. Sheik is rampant. Look at his eyes.
He's raking. He's going to.
He's trying to get into Hennig's eyes, but he's not managing it. Curt got those eyes closed.
Yeah, but he's trying to get that Band-Aid on Hennig's forehead. Boy, I tell you, these guys are just going crazy
Back
all over each other.
Forth and back and back. Boy, the people in the first row just got blood all over them.
Look at this. Right,
back and
left.
forth. Almost to the point of exhaustion. Cheeks down, face down. Curt Hennig having enough presence of mind to get up and back for a double drop kick.
Double drop kick that went nowhere.
All they got was air, and both of them hit on the back of the head. The Sheik more so than Hennig. Hennig's trying to. The bell just rang. A TV timeout has expired. A fall apiece. This match a draw.
Yeah,
what
it's
a
a draw.
match this has been. Boy, I tell you, the folks really got their money's worth tonight.
Right, Don. I'm going to go over here, Don. If you'll excuse me, Don. I've got to hear my partner back in the dressing room watching the monitor to get me an interview out here. We're going to close off this.
All right, so we're going to stop sharing there. I will show, there's a couple of stuff I want to show next week. So we'll do Curt versus the Assassin, and then Buddy Rose and Curt, of course. So that will be next week. Anyway, this is it for me. Now everyone should hear some shameless plugs. Sorry, I couldn't think of the words. So you should all hear some shameless plugs. But that's it for me. I will see you next week. We will do some Buddy Rose stuff again. Of course, when we're going to do more Portland stuff. And we will get a tribute to Rick Rude here soon as well. I'm still looking for him on primetime. But anyway, we'll continue to do some Bret Hart stuff and Hart Foundation stuff. And again, I hope you enjoyed this session with me and I hope you enjoyed this episode with me, and we will be back next week. Again, more Portland stuff. And then I think next week or the week after next week, I think we will probably do, a tribute to Rick Rude. Okay. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Again, everyone will hear shameless plugs. Of course, always remember that my outro song is AI generated. So again, I'm telling you again, just in case you didn't hear it in the shameless plugs. All right. Have a great one, everyone. We'll see you next week. And remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody. Bye, guys. Hey, Curt Hennig fans. Hello, and welcome to the Shameless Plugs. I wanted to do an updated version because I no longer have Patreon. I don't know if anyone has seen and down in the description field. The first shameless plug I would like to do is for my Cash App and my PayPal account. If you can donate, please, please, please donate today. I actually had one donation, but that was more for my birthday. So anyway, if you can donate, please see the links in the description field for my PayPal and my Cash App. I'd like to start off by saying also, and I will say this at the end, I have an AI outro that is AI generated. I actually made a country song dedicated to Curt. I made several. Just in case there also may be in the future or right now is going to be an AI intro. So I just want to let you know that the intro also could be AI, and this is for Amazon. This is for YouTube only. YouTube only. So the first shameless plug I would like to do is Kit Cabello. He is one of my great, great friends. Excuse me, I love him to death. And what a great man, great guy, all around great friend as well. You can catch him on Heartlands Media. That's 9 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, and he will tell it like it is. Trust me, he will tell it like it is. Can't say enough great things about Kit Cabello. Also, check out Angel Riviera. He is in Angel in the Afternoon, and of course, he is my host for Pro Wrestling Talk. Pro Wrestling Talk is every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though those are scheduled to change due to family issues or WrestleMania or a pay-per-view. Also, I would like you to, but definitely check out Angel in the Afternoon. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he also tells it like it is. Way to go, Angel. Okay, on to deconstructing topics. My big brother, Dave. I can't say enough great things about Dave. He is a big supporter of mine, and I'm a big supporter of him. If you check out Deconstructing Topics, he has his own show. I'm not sure what episode he's on right now, but he has a great podcast. Please, please, please listen to it. You can check it out on YouTube. I don't know if he's on Rumble, but I'll see if I can get a Rumble link. All these links are in the description field if you want to check these people out. Also, I'd like to mention my little kid brother, Alex Knight. We are actually not really related, but I see him like a little brother. So anyway, Alex Knight, you can find him on Angel in the Afternoon. You can also catch him on Pro Wrestling Talk. And I think he's going to do a baseball podcast with Angel as well. So check that out. That'll be on Sundays. I'm not sure the time. I'll have to get that from Angel later. But I just want to make sure that you check him out because he is a great person and someone I can call friend and little brother. The next shameless plug I'd like to do really fast is Black Magic Talk is my other show, guys. If you would like to check that out, all you have to do is click the link in the description field, and blessed be to you if you are also a witch, wizard, or warlock, or whatever you call yourself. You can check that out in the description field. We have a lot of fun over there. I love to have on special guests, especially Sonia Smith. She's a very dear friend of mine. I hope you will subscribe to all these people on YouTube or on Rumble. We are also on Rumble. The Rumble description field, the link is in the description field. Sorry. If you would like to check that out, this will be going on YouTube, of course, because I don't need this for Rumble. I could put it on Rumble. I think I might. So if you are on Rumble watching this and you would like to see the YouTube version of this, it's mostly audio that you will see, except for this part, right? Just check us out on YouTube. The link is in the description field. And again, if you want to check out Black Magic Talk, you can check that out too, where we talk everything pagan and Wiccan. There is no evil or black magic, of course. It's all great fun, and we have a good time. If you like a personal tarot reading from me, click the link in the description field below. I can get you my, my pricing and stuff. If you would like to be a guest on the Black Magic Talk, or if you'd like to be on Pro Wrestling Talk, you can DM me on X. My X is in the description field for both Black Magic Talk and for Curt Hennig podcast. Go ahead and hit those in the description field and DM me, and feel free to ask if you'd like to be a guest. If there's anything else, concerns, or if you would like to just give feedback, you can always DM us on X and so on. Just want to mention my Cash App and my PayPal account are in the description field. If you can give to the show, great. If not, please enjoy the show. That's what we are mainly here for, just for your entertainment purposes only. And again, I will reiterate that the AI outro song is AI generated. That is for everyone, for Rumble and for YouTube. Also, there could be an AI intro song. Just want to let you know that if there's ever an intro song, it is AI generated on YouTube. I created a couple of songs here and there, a couple of country songs I think that Curt would like. So I hope you check those out. And remember, everyone, Nobody beats Mr. Perfect or Curt Hennig. Nobody.
In a small town gym with wooden floors, he'd lace up his boots, he'd settle the scores. With a suplex or a lariat, he'd stand tall. Curt Hennig, the hero we all recall. Oh, Mr. Perfect, the man we admire. In the wrestling ring, he set hearts on fire. From the farm to the glory, he took his stand. A true country legend, the perfect man. Through the cheers and the bright spotlights, he wrestled his dreams on countless nights. With a fisherman's carry and a confident grin, Curt showed the world the warrior within. Oh, Mr. Perfect, the man we admire. In the wrestling ring, he set hearts on fire. From the farm to the glory, he took his stand. A true country legend, the perfect man. Humming the ballads of a heart so strong, where the echoes of victory always belong. He taught us that life is a fighter's game. Curt Hennig, forever framed in fame. In the hours of wrestling, his name remains. Curt Hennig, who broke through the chains. From Minnesota